Click below to watch the original Sins video. One obligatory sin for the comically oversized timer.
This is an orgy of evidence that this is a boy's room from the 90s. Michael Jordan poster? Check. Random sports equipment placed perfectly on shelf? Got it. Poster of Bikini Babe? Definitely. Time of your life board game? You bet. Wait, what?
If this sin is supposed to be about this being a stereotypical 90s boys' room, then why would you point out the board game for not fitting in with the stereotype? Also, Jeremy makes the whole "this set contains an orgy and evidence for this" type of sin a lot, but I don't really get it because that's just good set dressing.
Not only is this reckless driving, it'll definitely lead to the pizza toppings getting all shifted to one side. And then there's a cheeseless side.
A cheeseless side? If a pizza is cooked, then the cheese should not be moving around at all, regardless of how reckless the delivery guy is driving. Pepperoni I can imagine shifting around a little bit, but cheese, no.
Little Nero's must have the fastest pizza oven ever, or at least pre-makes pies with every possible topping combination and make this arbitrary 20-minute self-imposed deadline. Also, how big can that delivery zone be? Like a half mile or less from the parking lot?
Shouldn't that really have been 2 sins? Also, Little Nero's is a straight-up bizarre name for a pizza place. I get that it's supposed to be a riff on Little Caesars, but Caesar was actually more or less a decent dude who was maybe a little arrogant, while Nero was a psychopathic emperor who killed his own mother.
Well, we have automatic timers for our lights, locks for our doors. That's about as well as anybody can do these days, right?
Dude, house alarm systems have been around since the 1870s, and you can clearly afford one, so that is not the best you can do even in 1990.
So I decided to check Jeremy's statement here, and while he is correct that alarm systems would have been around before the time this movie came out, they were invented in 1853, not the 1870s, and weren't even available to the public until 1918.
I'm starting to think that Fuller is going to pee on Kevin intentionally, which may be early signs of urophilia.
So apparently urophilia is when someone is sexually excited by pee, and that is an absolutely wild thing to accuse a literal child of, you weird, weird man.
Nice tip. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Somewhere deep in the internet, there must be some erotic fanfiction about Kevin's mom and the pizza delivery dude, but I will not ruin my childhood by Googling it.
Jeremy decides to send the movie for a ship that he made up.
This clock literally has battery backup written on it, but goes off immediately when the power is knocked out.
Holy shit, that's actually a really good spot. Here's a send-off.
I don't know, she said 8 sharp.
The transporter knocks repeatedly on the door, waking no one, before deciding to try the much more effective doorbell.
Jeremy sends this as if that's not the exact course of action for such a situation.
1, 2,
11.
3. Buzz, don't be a moron. 9, 10, 11.
Heather did actually come up with the right number of kids, but counts herself at number 3, and again at the end. In addition to the Murphy kid. I'm surprised Heather's stellar counting skills didn't lead to more kids being left behind.
Good trip, bring me back something French!
There's a huge amount of things to go just perfectly for Kevin to be left, including the ability of all 11 kids to utterly ignore this kid that's announcing himself loudly by saying goodbye to them.
All 11 kids? But you just pointed out that this neighbor kid was counted as part of the 11. There's only 10 of them here.
There's no way on earth we're gonna make this plane. It leaves in 45 minutes.
Frank's an asshole, but he's right. Even with no traffic, it'll still take at least 30 minutes to get from Winnetka to O'Hare. And they are trying to make an international flight with 15 people.
I do agree that this is definitely unlikely, but based on the time frame that you laid out, it is still possible. Especially when you remember that a big reason for why it takes so long to get through an airport nowadays is because of security, and this movie takes place before 9/11 when that became such a big deal.
Hope we didn't forget anything.
Kevin apparently got into Mom's Valium supply last night to be able to sleep through the commotion of 14 raucous people getting ready at the same time.
Is the idea that Kevin is a naturally heavy sleeper really that hard for you to wrap your brain around? I'm a heavy sleeper myself, and if I told you guys the extent of the things that I could sleep through, then you might not believe me.
The cars are still here. They didn't go to the airport.
Kid somehow didn't know about the airport shuttles. Fine, whatever, he's young. But thinking the entire extended family could fit in these 2 cars? That's a paddling.
I was fully expecting Jeremy to send Kevin for not knowing about airport shuttles, and I'd prepared to refute this by mentioning that I myself did not know about airport shuttles until I was at least 10. But Jeremy actually didn't make that sin. It not only acknowledged my rebuttal, but also went on to make a perfectly valid sin instead. If I had sintegrity, that would probably remove a sin for this, but because I'm salty and the sin count doesn't actually mean anything, I'm instead going to add one.
What teenage boy keeps his porno mags right at the top of his footlocker? Your mom will totally find that.
Not every mom is a prude who feels the need to police teenage boys for doing the thing that teenage boys are known for doing.
It's only 12:30 p.m. Central Time, and they've probably only just flown over New York, but it's pitch dark outside this plane because the movie forgets how to time zone.
This sin relies completely on this only just flown over New York statement, which is something that Jeremy pulled straight out of his ass. Also, it might not even be that late because this is in December, which gets really dark really fast, especially in northern parts of the country like Chicago. Under those circumstances, you could probably get to this level of darkness by 4:30 p.m.
What kind of mother am I?
Asking this question kind of answers it too.
That's certainly a valid, if a bit cynical, interpretation to have, but I would argue that asking this question actually says something good about the kind of mother she is, because it demonstrates a certain level of self-awareness. There's plenty of moms out there who would probably end up refusing to admit that they did anything wrong, and find a way to blame Kevin for all this.
Also, if old man Marley was out and about, since he lives next door, shouldn't he have seen Harry and Marv just a few minutes ago?
This sin kind of solves itself, because maybe the reason why old man Marley decided to come over was because he noticed people sneaking around the house and decided to come over to check it out for himself.
Kevin screams so loud he breaks the fourth wall.
Apparently, just looking in the general direction of the camera constitutes a fourth wall break now.
There's no one home. The house looks secure.
This asshole says the house is secure, even though Kevin didn't lock the door as he was running away from Marley. Smells fishy. This cop must be on Sal Maroney's payroll or something.
It is entirely possible that Kevin went and locked the door at any other point before this guy showed up.
You gotta watch out for traffic, son, you know?
Sorry.
Merry Christmas.
Kevin gets freaked out after realizing that Harry was the cop, but why? He doesn't know that he was the one who tried to break in last night.
We live in the most boring street in the United States of America.
Says the kid who claims a serial killer lives next door.
That is actually a really good point. Here's another sin-off.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Cheapskate.
Tipping culture.
I'm gonna give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead. 1, 2, 10.
People often talk about Kevin coming across as a sociopath for the way he treats the wet bandits, but at least in that case, it started out as self-defense. But here, he just makes this completely innocent pizza guy fear for his life.
I don't care how mad I was. I talked to my dad, especially around the holidays.
Except for that time that I wished my entire family away. Other than that, totally open communication.
Maybe Kevin learned his lesson over the course of the movie, though I do understand why you weren't able to catch that, considering that this channel is an orgy of evidence that a person can go their entire life without ever learning anything ever. Was that too mean? I feel like that might have been a bit too mean.
Kevin cuts this extremely close, waiting until 8 p.m. before even starting his plan to horribly mutilate Marv and Harry. Also, this scheme heavily depends on two delinquent burglars being perfectly punctual.
Jeremy refuses to accept that burglars, whose whole livelihood is dependent on their ability to plan things out, would ever be punctual.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Sure, but you could also just call the goddamn cops as soon as the robbers show up, rather than design a Saw-like torture house.
Remember that Kevin saw Harry dressed up as a cop earlier, so he probably doesn't have a whole lot of faith in the police.
I know I'm hammering this home, but seriously, this f***ing preparation would take days, not an hour. Jesus Christ, he's run a f***ing zip line from the house to the tree that we later see can hold 2 grown men. That had to have taken at least 32 minutes, and he's doing all this other bullshit.
I would love to know where you got that 32-minute figure from.
Yes! At this point, the burglars should call the cops on this psychotic little bastard that openly rejoices after shooting people in the face.
Hello, police. Yes, I would like you to arrest the 8-year-old whose house I am trying to break into because he shot me with a BB gun. No, it didn't leave any lasting injuries on me. Just please arrest this child for being a brat and completely ignore the reason why I got myself in this situation.
Kevin has a fascination with feet, but the angry kind. He's kind of like the bizarro Quentin Tarantino.
I'm pretty sure Quentin Tarantino is the bizarro Quentin Tarantino. Also, stop accusing kids of having fetishes.
You bomb me with one more can, kid, and I'll snap off your cojones and boil them in motor oil!
At no point in this video does Jeremy take off a cent for how much of a national treasure Joe Pesci is.
Also, we never see Kevin's actual bedroom. He's been sleeping in his parents' room this whole time. Given how much everyone hated him at the beginning of the movie, I'm starting to think his parents didn't give him one.
You seem to have forgotten that the whole reason for the plot of this movie was that Kevin was forced to sleep with his cousin Fuller on his regular bed. You know, the 8-year-old you accused of having a piss fetish?
Wait, you're telling me he cleaned up everything from last night's rampage? No micro machines, feathers, paint cans, or broken Christmas ornaments anywhere? Jesus, that's even more chilling.
No, he didn't. It is explicitly mentioned later that he didn't clean up the damage he did to Buzz's room. Although that does raise the question of why he didn't think to clean all that up when he did it with everything else. But come to think of it, why did he bother to clean anything up at all? The house was broken into. He easily could have just brushed off all the messes and damage inflicted by the robbers. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, then why not leave a like, or comment, or subscribe, because it makes me feel good. So I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, unless if you don't celebrate Christmas, and if so, then happy whatever day of December it is, and bye.